Okay. All right. Now we're doing quite well. So let's just continue with our criminal laws and where they come from. Okay. Criminal laws stem from, English common law and the American court's interpretation of that. So let's take a look at the definition of common law, or define common law and crime. It's a set of rules and regulations in which the government regulates the conduct of the people within society. It's based on the people's frustrations and suggestions, but it has to be voted upon and then eventually regulated by the government. Way back when we were in the time of the Shire Reeve, as you remember from our history of policing, the sheriff or Shire Reeve would go from shire to shire, county to county, and had discretionary authority for the punishment and acted as the internment judges. Okay, so they listened and they settled disputes on the basis of customs of the individuals. There were very few statutes or written law in the early days. So the laws were set by precedents, which means previous decisions. We heard that in the practice. Precedents does mean previous decisions. So the common law was what was commonly done and how was it addressed. And the Shire Reeve would make the decision as to the punishment for an individual breaking this this common practice of living or practice of doing things. So the judge made the laws based on the community outrage and outcry, which still exists today. Many years ago, it was suggested you should not drink and drive, but the outcry, the sad children, the mad mothers, made it a point to bring it forward as to the seriousness of such inactivity, and now we have greater sanctions than what we once did for those people who do drink and drive. Whether or not they harm anyone or not is irrelevant. The level of alcohol in one's system has come down, and the punishment and penalties have increased. Again, based on the outcry and the outrage of the community. The community and the people, way back in the shires as well as now, determined that rape, murder, suicide, arson, robbery, larceny, and mayhem were felonies. We today consider them as Part 1 crimes. Again, most of our laws, or many of our laws, are based on morals. But not all immoral behavior is illegal. All illegal behavior seems to be immoral, but not vice versa. Lying to a friend, not nice, a little immoral, but not illegal. Okay? So why the heck do we even enact these laws? As I said, we'd have chaos and disorder, so we enact laws to maintain peace and tranquility and order. We regulate the public conduct and offer a sense of duty by the public. We also have laws that help protect society from harmful and injurious acts of others. When people can't think, we need to tell them that we're not going to accept it, and we're not going to let others in the society get hurt by their ways. Hurt either monetarily through the break-ins or physically through the personal crime. It's different from other countries. Procedural requirements provided through the U.S. Constitution, which we already know. Our case law, even though we want to maintain peace and order, we still want limits on the government. And those limits are directed through our constitutional amendments and our entire Constitution. The authority to make laws is provided within our Constitution. Not sure how many of you know that Michigan Constitution of 1963 is the third constitution we've had since Michigan became a state in 1837. That's just a little bit of history for you. As our criminal justice system has evolved, we have provided more and more statutes. When I exited the police academy, my criminal law book was half the size that it is now. We have to be able to identify crimes and punishments. Think about it. Computers weren't even used by the layperson. Cell phones, they didn't exist. So there could be no law because we had no property to use. And when there is no law, there can be no criminal act. So unfortunately, some people get away with things before the law is made. So if they identity theft. It was not a stolen credit card. It was not a stolen property. So the first few people who used identities of other individuals, those perpetrators, we didn't know quite what to charge them with. We knew it wasn't right, but we have to almost sometimes work backwards. So there can be no criminal act or no crime if there is no law. And the U.S. has no uniform set of criminal laws. We know we are decentralized. Obviously, throughout the United States, we don't want people killing, robbing, raping, or stealing, or committing fire purposefully. However, each jurisdiction enacts its own set of criminal prohibitions, and they vary from state to state, as well as the punishment. We don't have the death penalty, even though we don't want people to murder, and we call it murder 1 and murder 2. There are other charges and other different crimes on the books in other states. I'll only be talking as we speak about Michigan criminal law. Okay, juvenile law. I'm going to just touch on that briefly. Juvenile law is for the individual 16 years or less in Michigan. Remember, at 17 years, you're a keeper. Okay? So a 17-year-old high school student is considered an adult in the penal laws and violations in Michigan. We don't call mom, we don't call dad, but if you're 16, that makes a difference. We believe more rehabilitation than punishment because we view you less culpable. That's the second time you heard that word. Culpable means having the desire to harm, having an understanding of what you're doing is wrong. We'll talk about that further, and I will attach a PowerPoint on being culpable. Okay, just wanted to remind you that, again, 16 and less, you're a juvenile in Michigan. 17 and greater, you're an adult. So what are the basic concepts in criminal law? Lesser included crimes. If a crime consists of a degree the accused person could be found guilty of a lesser included offense or an attempt. So you're going to find out there are 4 degrees of criminal sexual conduct. CSC 3 is lesser but part of CSC 1. So you can be charged with that. If you aid and abet, help somebody with a crime, you too can be charged with that crime. Inchoate offenses. Again, this word I'm not absolutely sure if I'm pronouncing it proper. It's yet to be completed. You have attempted. You attempted, but for whatever reason were unsuccessful in completing your offense, whether it be a robbery or a murder. You attempted it, and you took some action to commit the offense or assist with the offense, but you failed. You prepared. You may have planned, but it's not enough. You had to take some overt act, okay? And you did. And that will get you charged with the crime, even though you were unsuccessful. If you planned it, and you prepared for it, and you took some action, then you can be charged regardless. If some perpetrator shoots at another individual, misses, and hits the wall, that's an attempted homicide, and therefore it's an inchoate offense, or they shoot somebody and it ends up not being that person, but that somebody else gets it instead. Well, their success was not positive, but somebody else was killed along the way. They plan on breaking into your house, they break into the wrong house. Doesn't matter. The fact is there was an action, and now we don't have to intend that they meant to steal from me. The fact is it's the offense. It was attempted, planned, and foiled, but you still be charged. Solicitation. I would remember this. solicitation is a crime. If you solicit to commit a felony, you ask somebody to commit another crime. I call you up and say, can you get rid of my husband? I don't care how. I just need you to do it. Forever or never. Under the bridge, over the bridge. I don't care. Okay? I have just solicited you for the crime. I'm not committing the crime. I'm not assisting you in the crime. But solicitation is against the law. That we've heard of it within the prostitution world, but it can also be if you ask somebody to commit a felony. The requester does not need to be directly involved after the perp agrees. Neither the crime or an attempt is necessary to be charged with solicitation. So I can put an ad in the paper, and the FBI pretends to be somebody answering my ad. They don't have to take any action. The fact that I requested this will get me charged with solicitation. Conspiracy, though, on the other hand, so these are important. Conspiracy, on the other hand, is when you act in conjunction between, it's an agreement between two or more people to do a unlawful act. Per Wharton's rule, if it takes two to commit the crime, there may not be a conspiracy. But typically, we recognize it to be a crime of two or more people. So I think I have stopped. So I will stop right here.